All right, man, peace. So, brothers, a few weeks ago, on April 22nd, there was a shooting incident that occurred in a Waffle House in Antioch, Tennessee. The perpetrator was a young Caucasian male by the name of Travis Reinking. Fortunately for the rest of the patrons within that establishment, a so-called young black man by the name of James Shaw Jr. stepped in to intervene and stop him from killing even more people. At least that's the official narrative that has been provided by the mainstream liberal media. Well, of course, we're going to go over this situation. They're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Now to a developing story. The hunt for a killer in Nashville has stretched late into the night. The man shot and killed 4 people inside a Waffle House this morning. As CBS 2's Laura Podesta tells us, the suspect is known to authorities for previous encounters, including one at the White House.
Let me say this, brothers. It's very obvious that this person, Travis Reinking, is what's known as an MK multiple under assassin programming, also known as MK Delta programming. He's basically a sleeper. And there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of these people all across the United States and all across the world who are oftentimes programmed to make sure that they can accomplish their mission on a particular date at a particular time using particular processes so that they can fulfill certain rituals. This person here, Travis Reinking, played the proverbial green man, aka Tammuz. All right. That's why the situation occurred on Earth Day, April 22nd. I've been covering this in previous videos. That's why I laid things out for a lot of you brothers. I told you, starting from the Lupercalia, aka Valentine's Day, that is a high period of sacrifice for them, going all the way throughout the spring, culminating in Beltane on May 1st, which is to commemorate Cush, aka Sir Nunos, aka Pan. Earth Day is a very high holy day for them. When I say them, I mean adherence to the craft, i.e. Wicca, i.e. quote-unquote Illuminism, Luciferianism, so on and so forth, which is the overall ideological belief or bent of all of the top people all across the world, whether it be entertainers, government officials, so on and so forth. The amount of prestige that they're able to attain is directly correlated to how far they're willing to go within the Luciferian system. And they utilize agents like this under mind control to make sure that they can fulfill certain rituals on certain days. And there's no doubt in my mind that Mr. Travis Reinking and James Shaw Jr. are program multiples. I believe that Mr. James Shaw Jr. was programmed to disarm this person once he came into the establishment. Most likely, both of them were put under some type of twinning programming. And what you'll always find with people like this, particularly Mr. Travis Reinking, is that they have a history of bipolar disorder, multiple personality disorder, schizophrenia, etc. But I just want to cover a few things in regards to him because it's very obvious that he's a sleeper agent. And there were a lot of signs there, especially pertaining to his association with a certain famous pop singer.
Just before 3:30 Sunday morning, a gunman wearing only a jacket arrived at this Waffle House in Antioch, Tennessee.
Let me specify, he had on a green jacket and he was fully naked. He had on a green jacket and he was fully naked. And he decided that he was going to run up into this particular Waffle House and shoot up as many people as he could. And a lot of people will claim that this was a hoax, that this did not really occur. I say this over and over again on this channel. People have to understand that on these high ritualistic holy days, for the adherence to the craft, to the Luciferian doctrine, they need real blood. The energies that they court are only satisfied with real blood, not fake blood. Are there hoaxes that occur? Absolutely. Are there times where there's so-called quote-unquote fake news? Sure. But they need rituals like this to progress further in what their overall agenda is. And that is to expose into the world that they must venerate Tammuz / Heru, who they call the king. Like when you ever see those films, the Lord of the Rings films, and it tells you about the return of the king, that's talking about Heru. Please understand that the constellation of Leo is associated with the sun. That's why I stated in another video, when in ancient Kemet, when they venerated the sun, it wasn't because of the sun's life-giving powers, because they associated the sun with a very notable figure who actually lived and existed and instructed and quote-unquote enlightened mankind in their view. Now, Heru is also known as Tammuz, the god of vegetation, who is known as the Green Man. But let's see what else they have to say about this.
And started shooting.
The Waffle House. Looks like there's a female at the location saying there's a male white who has no clothing on that's shooting at the location. We're getting multiple calls on this.
Police identified the suspect as 29-year-old Travis Reinking.
And I'm not even sure if that's his real name. When you look at the name Travis Reinking, the name Travis means crossroads. And of course, Rein or Reinking, it could be some type of message that they're delivering to those in the know within his name, meaning may the king reign of the crossroads. The king of the crossroads, for those of you who don't know, is Asar or Osiris. That's why his name was always represented by the X. That's why today in mathematics we use that letter X, meaning the unknown, or as a variable, because that was the symbol for Osiris. That's why he's always depicted with his arms crossing over his chest, because he represents that point of no return, going from the physical world to the spiritual world. He's the god of the underworld. Okay? So whenever you see that term X, like for example in the Nation of Islam, they use the term X as the unknown or as a variable, because according to that belief system or that doctrine in the Nation of Islam, so-called black people have been cut off from their actual history, so they should disavow themselves of their last names. Now in ancient Kemet, the unknown god or the unknowable god or the hidden god was also known as Amun-Ra. Amun-Ra was always depicted with the ram's horns. We always go back to that deity with the ram's horn or the goat horns. That deity, quote unquote, Amun-Ra, was also known as Khnum. He became known in Greece as Pan, the goat god of lust, also the god of the woodlands. All right. He's also became known as the Green Man. He was known as Cernunnos by the Druids. Notice this person was butt naked except for a green jacket. Heru was also known as the Green Man because he was Asar or Osiris reincarnated. I remember I got into it a little bit over a video that I did, a very short haphazard video that I did pertaining to the rapper Kendrick Lamar. And I stated in the video that Osiris was the sun god. And a lot of the Kemet dudes got upset with me. They said Osiris is not the sun god. Osiris is the god of the dead. Ra is the sun god, blah, blah. All those entities, those quote unquote deities, are just different characteristics of the same person. The term Asar or Osiris, it means the seed. That he came from his mother without actually having to have been inseminated. His mother did not have to be inseminated by a man to bring him forth. That's why they claim the same lineage for Heru or Horus, as he's called, also known as the Green Man. And Asar is always depicted as being green. Point being is this situation occurred on April 22nd, so-called Earth Day, in commemoration of the Mother Goddess. She demanded a sacrifice. Please understand that venerators of the Mother Goddess, they must sacrifice to her as well. Remember, she was known as Kali. In India, she demands a sacrifice. Go watch the film Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, where she was known as Kali Ma, the destroyer goddess. Remember, they were sacrificing people in that film. They were going to sacrifice the Caucasian chick. They had Indiana Jones under mind control after he drank the blood. Remember? So April 22nd, Earth Day, is a high day for sacrifice. And that's all this was about. This person's a program multiple.
6 people were shot. 4 of them, ranging in age from 21 to 29, were killed. James Shaw Jr., a customer, charged the shooter and grabbed his assault-style rifle.
I just took it and I tossed it over the counter.
He's being hailed as a hero.
Now notice, they keep calling him a hero. They say he's being hailed as a hero. The term hero comes from the name Heru or Horus. Horus was known as the protector, the great avenger. That's why I state that this person here is most likely under my control as well. He and this other person, Travis Reinking, had to play out this ritual. Most likely this cat here, James Shaw, was put under a certain level of programming where he was made to understand that the quote-unquote assailant, Travis Reinking, was going to be in that establishment at a certain time. This is how the entire situation was going to progress, and this is what he was going to do about it. And he almost slipped up and got killed. He got grazed by the bullet. I'm sure a lot of brothers will say this didn't really happen. This is all fabricated. This is all a hoax. The bullet graze that he had on his elbow is very real. The wound that he had on his hand is very real. You have to understand, these are flesh and blood androids. They're disposable. If they're able to make the ritual play out, great. If not, that's fine as well. They don't care. A lot of these people are bred and raised to fulfill these different roles in society on certain high holy days, in veneration of the god of this world, that being Tammuz/Heru, who they liken unto the Sun King, or the Lion King, as he's also called. But there's no doubt in my mind that person, Travis Reinking, that he was put under heavy programming.
I don't think I want to be a hero. I think I just want to be James, and James used what he had to free himself, and in the midst of freeing himself, he saved, people.
Police say Reinking ran from the Waffle House after Shaw intervened.
Yes, because after Shaw intervened, he most likely was programmed to snap out of whatever condition that he was in. He came to his quote-unquote right senses, or some type of sensory perception, and he left the establishment. That's how sleeper assassins are trained. That's how they're prepped. They're put under a certain level of conditioning for a long period of time, and they're told that once you hear this trigger word, once you see this symbol, once you see this person, after this entire situation transpires, you're going to forget everything, and you're going to run from the establishment. You're going to run to this location, and you're going to meet us here at this time, so on and so forth. Check out the film that Denzel Washington did, Manchurian Candidate. I'm going to go through that film in detail one day on this channel.
Investigators think he may have stopped at his apartment to put on pants. Reinking remains at...
Now, wouldn't you think if you were in some type of right mind that you would have stopped at your place to put on pants before you decided to go shoot up a Waffle House? I'm going to go shoot up the Waffle House with just a jacket on, but after that, I'm going to go put on some pants. That's how you know that he was under mind control programming. After that situation, that altercation with James Shaw, he woke up similar to Bruce Banner. Remember, Bruce Banner, that character, when he becomes the Green Man, he totally disassociates. And when he transforms back into Bruce Banner, he cannot remember anything that happened while he was the Hulk. I guarantee you that after the altercation with James Shaw Jr., Mr. Reinking did not even know where the hell he was at, most likely. And he probably looked down and said, why the hell don't I have pants on? He disassociates. It's what they call so-called multiple personality disorder, or DID, dissociative identity disorder. His father was most likely his first programmer.
At large and could be armed.
He's murdered 4 times with no apparent reason and no apparent motive.
Right.
Well, I know the reason and the motive. It was in commemoration of the mother goddess, Gaia. G-A-I-A, just another name for the so-called mother goddess. And once again, Earth Day was on April 22nd. They had him commit the murder the night before, which is actually the morning of April 22nd, so that it would not appear too glaring. They didn't want it to happen during the day on April 22nd.
Reinking was known to law enforcement. The Secret Service said he was arrested last July in Washington, D.C. after crossing a barrier near the White House.
I wonder what date that was that he crossed the barrier on the White House lawn. Because please understand that around July 3rd, July 4th is around the time period where the Sirius star will start to rise. It's known as the heliacal rising, anywhere from July 4th to July 20th. So I would like to know around what time period he was found on the White House lawn. The heliacal rising, for those of you who don't know, is when the Sirius star is pretty much in congruence with the sun. The Sirius star, S-I-R-I-U-S, was aligned to the mother goddess. And of course the sun, S-U-N, is her son, S-O-N, Heru. She holds his hand as she rises up beyond the horizon. July 20th is a date of very high significance within the craft. So I'd be very interested to know on what date Mr. Reinking tried to storm the White House lawn or the White House grounds.
Investigators say they have reason to believe he has some mental health issues.
No shit. What makes you think that? The fact that he bum rushed a Waffle House with no clothes on from the waist down? Or that he shot up 4 people? Come on, man.
Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Okay, so now we're going to get some coverage of this story from the CBS Morning News. Let's see what they have to say.
Welcome to CBS This Morning. We're beginning with a terrifying and sad story today. Nashville schools are opening under extra tight security while police hunt for the gunman who killed 4 people at a Waffle House restaurant early Sunday morning. Police identify the suspect as this man, 29-year-old Travis Reinking.
Yes, may the king of the crossroads reign. His name sounds so phony to me. And look, is there an etymological source for the last name Reinking? Yes, but his name just does not sound real to me in a situation like this. When you look at the fact that his name means crossroads and then Reinking, nah, this was made up. This person here was prepped most likely from childhood to perform certain acts.
He's from Illinois. The gunman was wearing nothing but a jacket. He was nude when he opened fire early Sunday morning with a semi-automatic rifle.
All 4 people who died were in their 20s. This morning, we're learning more about them and a survivor who's being called a hero for taking the shooter's gun away. Mark Strassman is outside the Waffle House in the Antioch section of Nashville. Mark, good morning.
Good morning. Within a mile of this Waffle House, police say the gunman was naked, on foot, heading to his apartment.
Yeah, sounds like Bruce Banner. But Bruce Banner was always butt naked whenever he transformed back to the Hulk. Could never remember what the hell just happened. He is the proverbial green man, Mr. Travis Reinking. He is Tammuz, the god of vegetation. He had to perform acts of murder in commemoration of the day of the mother goddess known as Earth Day, aka the day of Gaia, or the day of Aset, or whatever name you prefer for that mother goddess energy or that mother goddess principle, Minerva, Demeter, so on and so forth.
Where he put on a pair of pants and disappeared. What's especially worrisome to them, they believe he still has a hunting rifle and a handgun.
I mean, it's so obvious that he was under some form of mind control, because as soon as he snapped out of it, he realized he did not have pants on. If he was someone who was just totally crazy, and he was someone who was accustomed to not being in his right mind, then it would have never occurred to him to put pants on. I'm sure people might say, well, maybe he was trying to change his description. Well, if you're trying to change your description, if you're that worried about that, then you go in the Waffle House with all black on, with a mask on, so that you don't have a description in the first place. It's very obvious that he was disassociating, and he has personality alters. He's under programming.
I just heard gunshots, It was right behind us.
Abita De Silva was eating breakfast with friends and family early Sunday morning when a gunman, naked from the waist down, walked in and opened fire.
And everybody ran. I went in the bathroom, and all I could think was, where's my brother?
His younger brother, Akili, was one of the 4 people killed.
He looked up to me, but I looked up to him at the same time because
Well, you didn't look up to him that much because you ran to the bathroom and left him behind, bro.
Because he was real smart. He was a real good guy. Never got in trouble, none of that.
There's a male white who has no clothing on, that's shooting at the location.
Just before 3:30 in the morning, Travis Reinking drove onto the Waffle House parking lot. He killed 2 people outside, then began shooting inside.
He just wanted to spend his ammunition once he got inside, and there was a bunch of rapid fires until it went quiet.
Yeah, that's part of his programming. Hey, brothers, look up these names when you get a chance. Look up Roger Alvarado, look up Julius Sandrock, and look up Justin Lilly. And what all 3 of those names have in common is that they all claimed that Taylor Swift wanted to marry them. And that compelled them to quote-unquote stalk her and break into her home. You know who else stated that? Mr. Travis Reinking. It's very obvious to me that what all 4 of those men have in common is that they're all program multiples or MK Ultra assets or victims, really. And that Miss Taylor Swift or Mr. Taylor Swift has triggers written within her music meant to activate or compel many of these assets to perform certain deeds.
When Reinking stopped to reload his weapon, customer James Shaw Jr. bull rushed him and was injured wrestling it away.
I saw the barrel of the machine gun or assault rifle aimed down, and then I was like, I gotta go now.
Yes, you saw the barrel of the assault rifle aimed down, and you said, this is where I'm supposed to bum rush him because that's what I was programmed to do. This person here, Mr. James Shaw Jr., is a member of the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. The symbol of the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity is the Sphinx. meaning what? He is the holder of secrets, and he will never tell. The term Sphinx means to strangle or to hold in. Now, the actual name of the Sphinx is Harmakis, spelled Harmakhis. It means Horus or Heru on the horizon. In other words, the rising sun. So all the cats who are members of that fraternity, they venerate Heru. If I remember correctly, Martin Luther King was a member of Alpha Phi Alpha as well. All those frats, and I know I might have a lot of cats that are on my channel that are in those fraternities. All those cats are boule, and they all practice the veneration of the false gods. They're all pawns. And for a lot of those cats, that's their introduction into the Luciferian world. But to take it to another level, I believe that Mr. James Shaw was also programmed. He was made to understand that Mr. Travis Reinking, quote unquote Travis Reinking, was going to be in that establishment at that time, and this is what he's going to do. That's why he keeps saying, I'm not a hero. He probably has a hard time remembering exactly what happened and exactly why he did what he did. Now, supposedly, there is film footage existing of what occurred within that Waffle House, but they have it sequestered for the trial.
I said it's either now or never, because if he reloads it, man, it's going to be real bad.
Without a gun and naked, Reinking fled on foot, sending authorities on a citywide search. The 29-year-old has been on federal and local law enforcement's radar since last July, when he was arrested by the Secret Service for entering a restricted area.
Okay, there we go, July 7th. That's right in the midst of the time period of the Heliacal Rising. He most likely was activated, or maybe he had a little glitch where he felt like he was compelled to try to bum rush the White House lawn. Or maybe that was a test run.
The White House. 4 weapons registered to Reinking were seized in that arrest, including the AR-15 used in the Waffle House shooting.
Can you imagine that? You can bum rush the White House, have assault weapons in your possession, have them taken away from you, and then get them back.
Ultimately, the seized firearms were returned to Reinking's father, who has admitted giving them back to his son.
Of course, he had to complete his mission. Reinking's father is most likely some type of operative associated with the U.S. government in some way, allegedly. Everything I'm saying is alleged. But most likely Reinking's father is his initial programmer.
And that's despite the fact, Illinois officials say, that Reinking's father had agreed not to return the guns to his son, but did anyway.
Of course, Reinking's father is going to say that he agreed to not return the guns back to his son, because he has to make himself look less culpable in this whole situation.
Here in Nashville, Tennessee authorities say nothing under state law would have prevented that.
Once again, it's very obvious that the overall intention of this entire situation is not only to provide an appropriate sacrifice for the Mother Goddess on her day, Earth Day, but also, by extension, to attack gun owners once again. Anyone who is the lawful owner of an assault rifle, they're trying to demonize those people because they want to take away your right to have any type of assault rifle or weaponry in general. But it's very clear to anyone who's paying attention that Mr. quote-unquote Reinking is an asset, as is Mr. Shaw in my view. Just looking at a lot of the language that he's using, as well as the fact that he set up a GoFundMe page for someone who claims that he's not a hero. Now all of a sudden he wants to set up a GoFundMe page that has raised almost $230,000, supposedly for the victims, and he's going to utilize that money to do what? I guess to disperse to the families. But if you're not a hero, one would think that you would try to disassociate yourself from this issue as soon as possible, as opposed to acting as the intermediary between the public and the alleged families of the victims. It seems like you like the little bit of notoriety that you're getting.
As for James Shaw Jr., he was grazed by a bullet in his arm. His hand was also burned when he grabbed the hot barrel of the AR-15. Everyone here is calling him a hero, but he's uncomfortable with that label. When was the first time you realized that something was wrong?
When I saw
He realized something was wrong when he woke up that morning and he received that phone call telling him that Reinking will reign, 3:30, meet him there. And he snapped to attention. He said, my name is James Shaw, James Prentice Shaw. Anyone who's seen Manchurian Candidate will get the joke.
probably the third or fourth shot, and I saw the Waffle House staff go like this, like they literally dropped in separate, and then I turned around and I saw a guy on the ground, and then I was like, oh my.
So what did you do?
I grabbed.
Oh my goodness. I think he has an AR-15. I think it's my turn now to get up and grab it.
Grabbed him and I grabbed the gun. I started hitting and punching and doing anything I could to get the gun ajar. Just kind of grabbed it from him. I lifted it real high and I just tossed it over the counter.
And what was everybody else doing?
Ducking, hiding for cover, and I can't blame anybody. Can't blame anybody for not helping me.
People are calling you a hero. You know you saved lives in there.
Right.
You don't see yourself as a hero?
And I don't think I want to be a hero. I think I just want to be James. And
now, do you see how they constantly keep using that key term of hero? Once again, that is an allusion to him being proverbial Heru or Horus, the Avenger, the Protector. That was his job, to engage in battle with Set so that he could save the people and gain a certain level of glory, while also bringing acclaim to the Mother Goddess on her day, Earth Day. You'll most likely be hearing from this person in the near future in some way, shape, or form. They're going to keep his name alive.
James used what he had to free himself, and in the midst of freeing himself, he saved, people.
So Shaw, who's a native of Nashville, just wishes he got to the gunman faster. As for the...
Why would he just wish that he got to the gunman faster when he just finished saying that he's not a hero and that he basically was trying to save his own life, and in the process of doing that, he helped other people? So his version of events, or your version of what he told you, is not making sense.
For the manhunt for Reinking, the primary focus is for a 2 square mile radius of this Waffle House. John?
Mark, thanks. James Shaw. I want James Shaw around when something happens.
I bet you do. A white man always wants a good black security guard.
It's not just courage, but humility.
And what he said too, John, that he doesn't blame anyone. Thank you very much, James Shaw Jr. But I'm thinking about Mr. Reinking's father. He certainly has some explaining to do. And I saw an interview with James Shaw.
He might have some explaining to do, but he'll be debriefed by whatever alphabet agency is presiding over that whole situation. They're not going to divulge any information to you, Gayle King. For the most part, you would not be able to receive it anyway, and you're under the programming your damn self.
Shaw Jr. saying he has a 4-year-old daughter, and he kept thinking about her too.
Yeah,
as
he
part
said
of his motivation.
If I was going to die, he was going to have to work for it. And then afterwards, he said he wanted to get in touch with the families of the victims, make sure they were okay.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Terrible story.
Okay, so now we're going to jump to the segment where Travis Reinking has been captured. Let's see what they have to say.
All right, thank you very much, Don Dale, reporting from Toronto. The man accused of killing 4 people at a Nashville Waffle House is in jail this morning. Travis Reinking was arrested in the woods near his home.
Yes, Travis Reinking was arrested in the woods near his home because he is proverbial Tammuz. Once again, he is the green man. He is the woodland god. He plays Pan. Okay? James Shaw played Heru, the Avenger. They had to battle. James Shaw was meant to protect the other people in the location. But Travis Reinking's role was to make sure that he killed enough people to show veneration, appropriate respect, and obeisance to the mother goddess Gaia, a.k.a. Kali, whatever names you want to call that entity.
After a manhunt that lasted more than 24 hours, investigators say he did have a loaded gun and ammunition in his backpack at the time. Mark Strassman is outside the jail where the 29-year-old man is being held. Mark, good morning.
Good morning. For more than a day, police looking for Reinking had seen no sign of him. In fact, at one point yesterday, they talked about moving on and looking someplace else. And then a couple hours later, and one solid tip from a construction worker, and there he was. Manhunt over. And
I remember one of these guys in my comments claimed that the reason why Travis Reinking did what he did is because April is a high holy month to white supremacists. A lot of these Afrocentrists and these pro-black dudes. And look, brothers, as I state, my channel is geared towards the so-called black man. Many brothers might be thrown off when I make the statements that I make about being pro-black. Once again, black is not a race. Black is not an ethnicity. It's not any of that. So when you say that you're so-called pro-black, The only thing that tells me is that you're operating at a very low level, at a two-dimensional perspective. That's not necessarily your fault. But it's time for us, as so-called black men, to elevate our understanding to what's going on around us. At the end of the day, there is no such thing as a white supremacist high holy month, quote unquote. Now, if you want to state that there's a certain time period that has a great deal of significance to them, you can say that. But at the end of the day, when you understand the genesis, the origins of the Ku Klux Klan, the skinheads, the Nazis, they all go back to Luciferianism. The Nazis were venerators of Saturn. They were Saturnians. They were members of the Order of the Black Sun. They were also known as venerators of Wotan. Wotan is the Germanic name for Odin. Okay? Who is Odin? Odin is Cush. They just did not understand that to that degree. The Ku Klux Klan, they were set up to be American versions of the Celtic Druid system. That's why their leadership is known as Grand Dragons and Grand Wizards. The white trash that join many of these organizations, they don't even know where they come from. The reason why they would hang so-called black men is in commemoration of Tammuz. That's why they would oftentimes castrate the so-called black man, because that is what occurred with Asar or Osiris, whatever you want to call that entity. And of course, it was utilized by his quote-unquote wife, Aset, in order to bring forth Heru. That's according to the official story. The penis or the phallus of Asar is still venerated in what we call obelisks today, or the maypole. When you throw up the middle finger, that's known as Baal's shaft. Okay, it's talking about his penis, because that is venerated. It's known as sex magic. That's why they will hunt down so-called black men, because our life energy is held in far higher regard. Point being is this: there's always a deeper level that we need to get to. The so-called black versus white dynamic is a low-level interpretation that brothers have to start to rise above. Because in order for you to have a ruling class mentality, you have to stop defining yourself by color. Because when you note that you are a color, when you classify yourself or you categorize yourself as a skin color in regards to racial assignment, that means that you need the other skin color in order for you to feel like you're relevant. Black always needs white. So when you tell me that you're pro-black, you're really telling me that you're pro-white as well. Now, when you have an actual understanding of your lineage, your origins, then you don't need anybody else. You don't have to worry about anybody else and what they're talking about and what they're doing.
And now his father could also face serious charges.
They found him. Oh my God.
Cell phone video shows the moment police brought Travis Reinking out of the woods, about a mile from the site of Sunday's rampage.
Look at this dude's face. He looks like he does not even know where the hell he's at.
Did he have anything to say? Did he resist arrest?
There was really no communication other than, the detective drawing down on him, and he got on the ground.
Officers brought a visibly disheveled...
Now look at this. He's wearing a purple shirt that appears torn. Didn't Bruce Banner always have on a purple pair of pants that were torn up?
Disheveled Reinking to the hospital.
I'll tell you your charges.
Before taking him to jail.
Total bond is $2 million.
Where he was booked on 4 murder charges.
Do you have any question about your charges or your bond?
No, I don't.
Police say Reinking opened fire on a Waffle House with an AR-15 rifle before customer James Shaw Jr. wrestled the gun away from him. Shaw attended a vigil for the victims Monday night with his 4-year-old daughter.
Anybody that could be put in that position, you can do it.
We're also learning new information about Reinking's past. Police records show he claimed last year that pop star Taylor Swift was stalking him.
Absolutely, because Taylor Swift is one of the top witches in the entertainment industry. It's very obvious that much of her music is littered with lyrics that are meant to activate triggers within many of these MK assets and program multiples all across the world. That's why every 2 seconds someone's trying to bum rush her house. As I told you, brothers, look up the names: Roger Alvarado, Julius Sandrock, Justin Lilly. These are 3 men in the matter of a month who claimed that Taylor Swift was stalking them, or that she wanted to marry them and that they had to go meet her. And Travis Reinking was one of many who has been activated by her lyrics. It's clear that he is an asset. That's all he is.
Yeah. A former boss said he was a good worker, but appeared paranoid and delusional at times.
Yes, multiple personality disorder.
And just 5 days before the shooting, Police say Reinking led officers on this pursuit when he stole a BMW from a dealership near Nashville. Police never caught him.
All this shit going on, he leading police on wild car chases, bum rushing the White House, and he could still just be chilling. Ain't that a bitch?
The AR-15 Reinking allegedly used Sunday was one of 4 guns police confiscated from him in Illinois last year and were given to Reinking's father. They say his father gave the weapons back to his son.
Could his father have violated gun laws by giving his son the weapons?
It is possible if you transfer weapons knowingly to a person that is prohibited, so it could potentially be a violation of federal law.
Reinking's father had promised detectives he would not return the guns to his son, but police say he did it anyway, despite all the signs of his son's clear mental issues.
Of course, because the father is the programmer for the son. His son had a duty to fulfill, and he had to make sure that he accomplished his mission. Once again, around that time period of April, that's the time period of the Green Man and also the Mother Goddess building up to Beltane on May 1st, which is the ascendancy of the quote-unquote Oak King, a.k.a. Beltane, a.k.a. Bell or Pan or what have you.
Nora?
That's what's so disturbing about this, Mark. Thank you.
But anyway, that's it on this issue involving Mr. Travis Reinking and Mr. James Shaw, or James Prentice Shaw. Once again, check out the movie Manchurian Candidate. And most importantly, stay vigilant. Peace.